Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the first ever Locked On Blue Jays Awards.
You are Locked On Blue Jays, your daily Toronto Blue Jays podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to Locked On Blue Jays. Thank you for making Locked On Blue Jays your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
This episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB to win $50 instantly when you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. Run your game. As always, I'm Braden Wasco. He's Carter First. You can find us on Twitter, Braden5 Wasco. Carter First, too, as well on Instagram and TikTok, at Locked On Blue Jays. If you're new here on YouTube, we appreciate it if you drop the subscription. Really helps us out. Keeps us at the top of your guys' page. We have our shop up and running, available down in the description. Go check it out. Take a look. If you see anything you like, make sure you go and click on it. Purchase it if you want to. Either way, it's there. Also, we have a Discord. We can come and you can chat Blue Jays with us anytime you want. Click on the link there, and you can join the Discord as well. Carter, it's a big day. It's the Locked On Blue Jays Award Show. We've been talking about it for a while, and it's finally here. This should be a ton of fun. We have a bunch of awards to give away from a very disappointing season, but here we are. I don't know, sort of fun Friday episode, I guess, from the boys here.
With all the lack of fun that we had throughout the 2024 season, we got to try to enjoy ourselves a little bit. Obviously, you're suited up. I'm not quite suited up. I'm game day ready as I come for this podcast every single time we do it. But yeah, we got 10 awards today for you guys. We've been kind of teasing this for a little bit. We put some thought into this. Some of these awards are a little bit more serious than others. Like I said, we're going to have fun with this. Obviously, I'm game day ready. I'm wearing the helmet. So we're ready to have a good time here. But yeah, we got a lot of good awards for you. Some surprises, some you won't necessarily expect. So I'm excited to get into our award show.
Yeah, dude, I'm sweating in this suit, but I think let's jump right to the first award. We'll give you guys a little explanation on them before. We'll see who wins, and then we'll discuss it a little bit after. That's sort of how we'll roll along. We're going to start with the Locked On MVP of the Blue Jays season. Your candidates for MVP this year from the Toronto Blue Jays are Jose Berrios, Kevin Gausman, and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Carter, let's send it over to myself and see who wins. And the winner for Locked On Blue Jays MVP is Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Oh, there you have it. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is your winner. You can see we put a little bit more time into this episode than other ones, so there you go. Carter, how do you feel about Vladimir Guerrero Jr. winning this award? Me and you discussed this beforehand to see who was going to come out on top, and this one's pretty unanimous, I think. I don't think there's a question. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. was just by far above and beyond the best player on this Toronto Blue Jays team.
For sure. It really wasn't up for debate. There's going to be some awards that there's a lot of good candidates for this. Like you're doing an award show, you got to have an MVP. And for the Toronto Blue Jays, there's really only one player that really stood out from the rest of them, in my opinion. We talked about this obviously off camera. All these awards are me and Braden coming together. We both, obviously a little bit of arguments, but we both did agree on the end on who we picked for these awards. This one, there was no debate at all. It was Vladimir Guerrero Jr. It was actually a debate for who the other nominations were going to be for this award. Like we can talk nice about how good about Vladimir Guerrero Jr. Jesus, maybe it's the helmet getting to my head a little bit about how good Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is, but you can just look at the stats. You can use the eye test. You can use any test out there. You're going to see that Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is a good baseball player and was easily the MVP of the 2024 Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah, I don't think there's really any question there. And you know what? I don't want to spend so much time on the awards that everybody knows I want to do. I want to save some time for the ones that maybe some people aren't expecting. So Carter, in saying that, let's move on to number 2. This is Transaction of the Year. Let's hear the nominees, Carter.
So before we get into the nominees, I'm going to kind of explain this one a little bit because MVP is fairly obvious. Transaction of the Year, this one's a little bit vague. So with transactions, this could be a free agent signing. This could be a trade. This could be someone getting called up to the MLB team. This could be someone getting called up to the AA team. We thought that was interesting enough. So it's just one of the transactions Toronto Blue just made throughout all of 2024, whether it was the free agency, whether it was throughout the year, whether it was trade deadline, you name it. So we have 4 nominees for this award. The first one is Tyler Heineman comes back to the Toronto Blue Jays for his third stint, a guy that we've seen around this organization a lot. So a little bit of a homecoming party for Tyler Heineman. The Orelvis Martinez PED list transaction. That one's going to go down debatably in history for Toronto Blue Jays fans. One of our highly touted prospects, just getting a taste of the PED life, I guess, instead of the life of the Toronto Blue Jays and the MLB organization. Another one we have, Spencer Horwitz gets called up. Obviously, Spencer Horwitz, a huge player for the Toronto Blue Jays, made an instrumental difference, made the season very fun to watch. And then we have the Yusei Kikuchi trade at the trade deadline. We've talked about this on our trade deadline episodes. We believe that this was the best trade of the Toronto Blue Jays trade deadline, but there's a lot of good candidates here, a lot to debate. So I guess I'll cut to myself this time to announce the award winner. And the winner of Transaction of the Year goes to Yusei Kikuchi, getting traded to the Houston Astros.
Dude, I honestly think that this is by far the best transaction. I mean, just the pieces that the Toronto Blue Jays got in return, it was pretty electric. I remember being on the live streams and stuff when this was happening and the shows that revolved around it. And I'm very excited for the Toronto Blue Jays future when it comes from the pieces from this trade, Carter.
Yeah, this was one of the ones that, again, it should be fairly obvious. It should be the Yusei Kikuchi one. I wanted it to be the Orelvis Martinez one a little bit just because I thought it was funny. Obviously, you get one of your prospects, one of your guys that's debatably supposed to not maybe save your season, but at least make it a little bit better. He goes and he plays one game, and then he is put on the PED list. Just how the Toronto Blue Jays 2024 season went with that one transaction. But again, when you look at Yusei Kikuchi, you look at all you got from that trade. You look at the prospects you have right now, even the short term, what they've done for the Toronto Blue Jays. When you're looking at Will Wagner, who is supposed to be kind of the throw-in of this trade, debatably has been the best one so far. Again, you haven't seen Jake Bloss, so there's an argument there. But you have three players that look like they can be very good players for the future and can provide you some depth even in the short term for your Toronto Blue Jays roster. But
absolutely.
Yeah, I'll throw it back over to you.
Yeah, and just there's a lot, we've covered a lot of this stuff already, so we're not going to go super in depth. But again, this is a little bit of a season recap and sort of everything as well in combined with awards. We wanted to just have some fun. It's the off season. It's Toronto Blue Jays baseball from a terrible year. So here we are in the award show. Let's move right along to the most improved player this season. We have Spencer Horwitz, Ernie Clement, and Bowden Francis. Let's send it over to myself and find out who the winner is. And the winner for most improved player this season is Bowden Francis. Congratulations to Bowden Francis. Just the back half of the season for him in itself, Carter, should earn him this most improved player. I mean, we had Horwitz on there and Ernie Clement, and those two guys, don't get me wrong, big jumps in their careers. But for what Bowden Francis gave us, it's hard to really turn that down.
He was one of the best pitchers in baseball for the last 2 months of the season. If you don't get most improved player from having a horrible first month, going to AAA, kind of figuring it out there, and then coming back to the MLB and literally being the ace for the Toronto Blue Jays for the last 2 months, I don't know how you can improve much more than that. I don't think there's much more of a grade to be improved. This was one of the awards that you, again, could have probably had them giving it to anyone. Spencer Horwitz would be my third one on this list, but what a rookie year this guy had. Just, again, had a low first time last season, comes in and makes an immediate difference on the Toronto Blue Jays. And then Ernie Clement, going from being DFA'd by the Houston Astros a couple years ago, played with the Guardians, things like that as well, but has kind of revived his career a little bit with the Toronto Blue Jays, became an everyday player, and was leading off a little bit for the Toronto Blue Jays at the end of 2024. Is that saying a whole lot? That's up for debate, obviously, but congrats to Ernie Clement for kind of reviving his career. But yeah, it had to be Bowden Francis here. There was really no debate for me. So I'm just going to go over his pre-All-Star break splits and then his post-All-Star break splits. Again, we've kind of talked about this again, so we're not going to talk to this to death necessarily, but I think I'm just going to literally just do one stat here. Bowden Francis ERA before the All-Star break, 5.82. After the All-Star break, 1.80. It's right in front of your face. This guy was dominant in the second half of the season.
He really was. It was one of the bright spots to an otherwise sort of bland year, right? In the back half of the year, you're like, oh God, why am I watching these games? But then a Bowden Francis start would come up and you'd be like, okay, Bowden Francis start. I guess we're watching this game. And that's what me and you ended up doing. So I could totally understand if the rest of the fans felt sort of the same way. In saying that, Carter, we got another award to get to. Award number 4. I'll send it over. I know you've been waiting for this one.
We couldn't do a Locked On Blue Jays award show without naming an award after this player. We got the Bradley Zimmer Award. This award could be interpreted in many different ways. Could be the greatest Blue Jay to ever do it. Could be the greatest defender to ever do it. Could be the most clutch player in Toronto Blue Jays history. Could be Mr. Canada Day himself. You name it, a million awards for this guy. But we decided to go the random Blue Jay of the year. That's the Bradley Zimmer Award. Bradley Zimmer back in 2021 was just a random player that we had a lot of fun with. So we're kind of bringing back this sort of style of the Bradley Zimmer Award. So we have some nominations for this. We have Jose Cuas. If you remember who that is, kind of the point. You shouldn't. We have Aaron Sanchez, and then we have Joey Votto. I'll cut it to myself to announce this award. And the winner of the Bradley Zimmer Award, debatably the most coveted award of the Locked On Blue Jays awards, is Joey Votto.
Wow, applause.
Maybe a little bit of a dark horse candidate for that one, but when you look at these three players, we'll start with Joey Votto, obviously, because he is the award winner. This might be one of the most ridiculous years that I've ever seen anyone on the Toronto Blue Jays have ever. Just the track that Joey Votto took to not even play in the MLB is absolutely insane, with all the Canadian hate that you get from 2015, 2018, things like that, to the want to play for the Toronto Blue Jays, hitting a home run off Zach Wheeler, to going back down to the Florida Complex League, to working his way all the way back up just to not play for the Toronto Blue Jays. It's in 10 years, maybe not right now, but in 10, 15 years, Joey Votto might be one of the most random Toronto Blue Jays of all time.
Yeah, dude. You know, as friends, you always talk about that, right? Oh, do you remember this guy that played like a half a season? Well, now we're going to go back at some point when we're 35 years old, and we're going to say, do you remember when Joey Votto hit a home run and then fell off the face of the earth? It's a fun award. This is a fun moment. It's just a very strange year. And honestly, talking about all three of these guys, it was just a very strange year in general. I mean, Aaron Sanchez came from nowhere, and we're like, oh, Aaron Sanchez is back with the Blue Jays? All right. And then he didn't do a thing and was terrible, so didn't even get called up, and that was that. And then, Carter, I'm just going to throw it to you for Jose Cuas, because, I mean, come on.
This guy, yeah, he's setting records for the Toronto Blue Jays. I think he'll have 3 base runners on 2 pitches. I don't even know how you managed to do that, but it's insane what Jose Cuas did for this team. Just trying to bring him in for some relief. Didn't get that relief, obviously. Just Jose Cuas was on the team for, I think, a week, and then he was DFA'd right after that. So that's kind of the revolving door that we've had for the bullpen. Jose Cuas is one of those guys that's going to go down as like a Sergio Romo from a couple years ago. It's just one of those random guys that like, this guy played on the Toronto Blue Jays. It's a funny award that we wanted to bring for this episode. We have a lot more awards to get into, but we do have a short break. We're really excited for the rest of these awards. Hopefully you guys are as well. But we're going to come out to you with a bunch of interesting and creative awards that we thought of coming up on Locked On Blue Jays.
Today's episode brought to you by Robinhood. With Robinhood Gold, you don't need a silver spoon to eat up the financial favors of the 1%. Robinhood Gold allows others to get the rates and perks that usually reserve for the high society. Now, the resourceful individual with Robinhood Gold can earn the very liberal rate of 4.5% APY on uninvested cash, receive unlimited 1% deposit bonuses, and be rewarded with a handsome 3% retirement boost on an IRA account. Robinhood Gold provides the privileges of a high net worth for any net worth. These generous benefits are now available for only $5 a month. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. Sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Again, sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Terms apply. For product-specific disclosures, visit Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. Rates may change. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold, LLC. A lot more awards to get into, Carter. What a fun... Dude, this is such a blast of an episode. Like, just filming this tonight and having a good time. We had football on. It was just such a fun day, dude. And there's really a ton more fun awards to get into. And we're moving on to number 5 here. And this might be probably, I don't want to speak for everyone, but probably the most important award there's ever been. This is the Braden Iwasco Award for the best pitcher. Let's send it off to me here to announce the winner. But before I do that, of course, the nominees are Jose Berrios, Kevin Gausman, and Bowden Francis. And the winner of my very own Braden Iwasko Award for the best pitcher there ever is, but in this case, the Toronto Blue Jays, this season is Jose Berrios. Yeah, dude, some debate on this one. I know me and you sort of went back and forth, right? Because Bowden Francis had such a good end of the year, and Jose Berrios had a great month, sort of dipped back down to earth, and then just sort of flattened out and was pretty solid the rest of the year. But I think overall, I just don't know that Bowden Francis threw enough innings, really gave us enough to bolster him to the best pitcher of the year. And I mean, it is debatable, but I just don't think it was quite there yet.
If you go over the season numbers on the sample size, if you inflated Bowden Francis' sample size to Jose Berrios, who had continued on his route, he would have had better numbers than Jose Berrios. But I mean, half a season is a big what if. So that's kind of where Braden had me on this one. I did have Bowden Francis as at least in the conversation, but then we kind of talked it over. Jose Berrios just was pretty much a dog the entire season. Like when you look at the yearly numbers again, when you go through the season, obviously there's ups and downs. Pitcher of the month in April, had a rough July, August, and then kind of picked it up again in the back half of August and then September. So overall, you have to go Jose Berrios here. But I just want to throw my flowers to Bowden Francis because he did have such an electric back half of the year. Jose Berrios is a guy, and maybe even by me a little bit in this award show, it's just slept on. It's maybe a little bit underappreciated when you have what Bowden Francis did. Maybe the more focus on Vladimir Jr., Kevin Gausman, always I find is in the spotlight rather than Jose Berrios. Again, that's more of a debate piece. Kevin Gausman's obviously a very good player as well. But Jose Berrios for me is one of the more underappreciated Blue Jays. And we're going to have this guy. We can have this guy all the way into the 2028 season. So when we talk about starting pitching on this team, when we're talking about veterans, Jose Berrios is one of those guys that should be with this organization for a very long time. Yeah,
and you hope he is, right? Because this pitching staff is so good right now. It's giving the management team such an opportunity to move forward. And so that's why when you have a good pitching staff, you almost put it in the back of your mind. You don't have to worry about it. And that's such a nice thing. So the longer we can keep Jose Berrios around and the longer he keeps pitching well, the better for this team, Carter. But in saying that, let's move on to award number 6.
Yeah, this is one of my awards again. And this is just another legend in the Toronto Blue Jays organization. Yunenori Kawasaki. You can't go through an award show without having an award for this guy. One of the most fun Toronto Blue Jays to watch, in my opinion, of all time. And this is what the Yunenori Kawasaki Award is. It's the most fun player to watch, most entertaining, our fan favorite of the year. So this was more of a debate piece again. We decided to leave Vladimir Guerrero Jr. off of these nominations. You guys can leave comments and debate us for this award. But our nominees for this award are Davis Schneider, Bowden Francis, and Danny Jansen. I'm going to cut it to myself to announce the award. The Munenori Kawasaki Award goes to Bowden Francis.
And Carter, as loved as Davis Schneider is and the impact that, he had on the fan base, it is fantastic to see. And I'm not taking away anything from Davis. I love him. I think a lot of other fans do as well. But at the end of the day, Bowden Francis was the guy you were tuning in to watch. And that's such a huge part of this. And Danny Jansen, I mean, he was loved too. It was too bad, the trade happened. But it was sort of time. The writing was on the wall for it. So Bowden Francis really does deserve this award, Carter.
This might be a little bit of recency bias for me, but the last 2 months of Bowden Francis was debatably some of the most fun I had watching Toronto Blue Jays baseball all season. Yeah. So with a guy like Bowden, again, we couldn't go through this award show, especially for me, go through the award show without giving Bowden an award. I was trying to kind of force him into the Pitcher of the Year award. I think he sits pretty well here. I think this was for me a no-brainer. Bowden Francis, such a fun player to watch. He's going to be one of my favorite players to watch going into next season, and a guy to monitor. Danny Jansen was a fan favorite. That's why we had him on here. Thought we had to give Jano his flowers. He was a guy that all the Toronto Blue Jays fans loved, a guy that was with the organization for a very long time, had a lot of pull side home runs, which I have always advocated that are awesome to see. But and then Davis Schneider, just again, he's a fun player to watch, but maybe if you get a little bit more of the success and just more consistency at the plate, might have been in this discussion a little bit more. But leave your comments for this one. This one might be one of the more controversial awards that we do have. But for me, I'm standing by Bowden Francis.
Yeah, me too. And Vladimir Guerrero Jr., I mean, could easily be in this.
But I can win almost every award, I feel
That's
like.
right. And at the end of the day, we got to switch it up. We got to throw around. And I mean, Bowden Francis was a guy, right? It was almost like you knew what Vlad was going to do. So it was like when those Bowden Francis days came up, though, like I remember I'm like, I got to watch this game. I got to see what he's going to do next. And so that was sort of a fun piece to that as well. But let's move on to number 7, Carter. This is a bit of a sad one. The disappointment of the year. Nominees.
Had to be done.
It did. Erik Swanson, Bo Bichette, and George Springer. Let's find out who took it home. It's a sad time. The disappointment of the year. The award goes to Bo Bichette. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
This one's one of those layups, those like you got a fast break on the basketball court, and it had to be done. Like who else would it be? George Springer's really the only one that you could argue. Again, like you're talking about disappointment though for the Toronto Blue Jays. This was a disappointment list. You could throw a whole lot of players on this list, but you're talking about the most disappointing player. It's got to be Bo Bichette. Nobody expected this going in this season. If you say you did, you're lying. I'm sorry. Like you didn't. There's no way you expected Bo Bichette to be this bad of a hitter. Maybe regress a little bit, but to play 80-something games, I don't even know if he got to 80 and have like a 210 average, a WRC plus of about 80, just a below league average hitter. There's no way anyone predicted that. It's got to be Bo Bichette for disappointment of the year.
Yeah, it has to be. I mean, it is. It's sad to say. I never thought that we'd be saying that about Bo, and I think that's where the disappointment level comes in for me. It's just frustrating. I do expect to bounce back, though. Like, I don't think... I'm not taking this to be like, oh, Bo Bichette's done for the rest of his career. No, Bo Bichette's probably going to have a great season next year and shock the world, and he'll be our bounce back candidate next year. Like, so, again, take very little away from it. It was a bad year all around for this team. So, again, put it out of your head. Move forward. Move on. Look ahead to 2025 and just hope that the Blue Jays can do something.
Yeah, if Bo Bichette plays the full year, maybe turns it around a little bit, George Springer could have easily been in here for me as well. The difference is the expectation. I had George Springer regressing a little bit to this standard. Oh my God, like not even in the realm. Like I don't know how George Springer got this bad this quickly. We got another 2 years of this guy. The expectation's a little bit different. Maybe it is George Springer. There's an argument there, but yeah, with what Bo Bichette did with the expectation going in and what a lot of people thought, just very disappointing season from Bo Bichette. But trying to, spin it, I guess, a little bit more positively. I think that's like probably the most, sad award that you could have this year, at least with our award show. But we got a little bit more of a fun one. We got hit of the year. A lot of fun Toronto Blue Jays hits, a lot of fun Toronto Blue Jays home runs. Wish there was more of them. 29th best in the league. I guess that's a lot of fun the Toronto Blue Jays were having. But we go into hit of the year. We got some nominees here. So the one we were in the flesh for this one. Danny Berger's legacy game hits a nuke live. We have Alejandro Kirk triple, obviously a big part of the Toronto Blue Jays season. And we got Yusei Kikuchi absolutely annihilating Tyler Soderstrom against the Oakland Athletics. I will throw it over to me for this award winner. And now we moved into hit of the year. Lots of good hits along this Toronto Blue Jays season, but there's one that stands out. Pretty obvious for me. It's Yusei Kikuchi's hit against the Oakland Athletics. Hilarious. One of the best moments of the season for me. This was one of the episodes you actually missed. I think you missed 3 episodes all year. You missed the Yusei Kikuchi absolutely blowing up Tyler Soderstrom at the Coliseum for one of the last Blue Jays games that the Toronto Blue Jays would play there. What a moment from this season.
I was in New York. I don't know what time it was. I got up early because I don't know why it goes. I couldn't sleep or something. And I got up to use the bathroom. I'm like, you know what? I better just check on the episode, make sure it went live or whatever. And the first thing I see is, should Yusei Kikuchi be playing in the NFL? I'm like, what's going on? Like, what are these idiots doing?
You leave Carter in charge of the title and everything, all the podcast stuff for one day. And, we start talking about the NFL. We start talking about Yusei Kikuchi playing different sports. But it's so funny that it's just the one day that you happen to be away. You take off for New York and then Yusei Kikuchi just lays them out on a play that should just, again, it's never going to happen anywhere else. Everywhere else has barriers or at least some sort of like guarding off the field. And also, I just don't know what Kikuchi's doing.
I don't know.
If you have take the time, look up Yusei Kikuchi, Tyler Soderstrom hit by the dugout. One of the funniest things you're going to see. Just ran right at him. I can't remember who the player was off the top of my head now. I think it might have been Berrios or Bassitt. I think it was another pitcher that ran the other way like you should have. Like you could have ran left or right. Yusei Kikuchi decided to run right the ball.
I, I don't know. I'm mind boggled. I really am mind
Hilarious.
boggled. Like, watching that back, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. Carter, a lot more to get into. We got 2 more big awards. We've sort of saved a couple good ones for the end here, so make sure you stick around. We'll be right back after this quick break.
Today's episode is sponsored by Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the largest daily fantasy sports platform in North America. They are the easiest and most exciting way to play fantasy sports because it's just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you can pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in. So I decided to put on the Blue Jays hat. That's going to turn into a Padres hat tomorrow because I'm going to be on the Padres team. So I got me more than on every single offensive stat ever. That's the biggest gimme of all time. But I also have Fernando Tatis more than 1.5 bases. This guy in the playoffs has been absolutely ridiculous. I think this is going to be a gimme. I got Jerkson Profar too. Obviously, I'm on the Padres side here. I got him more than 1.5 bases as well. And as you know, I'm a Canucks fan, so I couldn't leave them out. I got Niles Höglander getting on the board for the first time this season with more than 0.5 goals. And then JT Miller, I got him at more than 1.5 points. So you can download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit matchup to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit matchup to $100. Prize Picks. Run your game.
Well, Carter, we're into the final 2. The final 2 awards, and the one I'm about to say is pretty unanimous. I don't think it's a question. It is Gold Glove. We'll just send it to me. The Locked On Blue Jays Gold Glove goes to Daulton Varsho. Shocking, I know. The best defensive player in all of baseball gets the Blue Jays Gold Glove. There you go.
Yeah, who would have thought? This one, the Locked On Blue Jays MVP and the disappointment. I mean, just gimmies. Like, these are absolute layups. But ones we had to include in the show. Daulton Varsho, it's not even just the Toronto Blue Jays Gold Glove. He might be the platinum glove of the AL. Like that, this is where we're at. You got Andres Jimenez from Cleveland Guardians. They did a little bit of looking into this, but you look at the outs above average, you look at defensive runs saved, you look at a lot of these metrics, you look on Baseball Savant at some of these fielding stats as well. Daulton Varsho does edge out Jimenez slightly in pretty much every, honestly, defensive category. And this guy's also playing the outfield. I think you can be a little bit more flashy in the infield. I think that that helps you out with maybe some of the voting and stuff like that as well. But Daulton Varsho, he's doing it at a million different positions as well. He's playing left field. He's playing center field. Not as much right field, but he is making the hard plays look super easy. This is my platinum glove winner of the AL. I think it would be absolutely criminal if he's at least not in the top 3. I think he will be, but at the end of the day, we got to hope for at least some positive from the Toronto Blue Jays season, and maybe we'll get a league winner with platinum glove in Daulton Varsho.
Yeah, you'd think so, right? I mean, I had him picked out halfway through the season. He was making extraordinary plays. And yeah, he's going to win a Gold Glove. It's just going to have to wait and see if he for sure secures that platinum glove. And well, you know, that'll come. That'll come. And I think he will. And my prediction is he will. But again, the MLB sometimes doesn't always give it to the person that 100% you think most deserves it. But we'll have to wait and find out. Carter, let's get into number 10, the final award of the night.
Final award is Rookie of the Year on the Toronto Blue Jays. I said there was 3 gimme awards. I lied. There might be 4. I'm just going to go into who the winner is of this award. And our last award of the day, Toronto Blue Jays Rookie of the Year. This one, fairly obvious. We got to go with my boy, Spencer Horwitz.
Yeah. I mean, he was just great. He was fun to watch. He was the little bit of the shining light, you know, in a dark room. He was extraordinary to watch all season. Really, there wasn't a time in this year that, you know, he was really playing terribly. Yeah, he had some off games and a little bit of lull stretches, but it wasn't ever like he was horrible. And he was the one guy I think that you could say didn't have a horrible stint with this team. I mean, Vlad came out of the gate slow, but Horwitz is just pretty steady all year, which is great to see from him.
He absolutely was. He came up a little bit last season and was very effective for the Toronto Blue Jays as well. Kind of gets his shot this year and is one of the more productive Toronto Blue Jays hitters on the roster. If this guy plays the entire season, there's a very high chance this guy wins AL Rookie of the Year as well. Colton Cowser and Austin Wells are pretty much the 2 front runners for this award, and both of their seasons aren't, like, when you look at the total season stats, Spencer Horwitz are a lot better in a lot of these categories. He just doesn't have the at-bats compared to a lot of these guys, doesn't have the games played. But this is a guy that is one of the cornerstones that you could build around for the future of the Toronto Blue Jays. Is this a guy that's going to break out to this massive superstar, be Aaron Judge? Personally, don't think so, but he can more than be a valuable player on this team. He smashes right-handed pitching. He's one of the best hitters in the league against right-handed pitching. He was top 20 this season. Hopefully he can continue that. But when we're looking at a direction for the Toronto Blue Jays, when we're talking about these prospects, things like that, Spencer Horwitz is one of those players that you will be able to build around for the future.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see what they do with him coming up next year, Carter, and where he fits in, and that'll be sort of interesting to watch. And I really, really can't wait. What a show it's been. The awards, I mean, everything. I was really pumped for this episode, and it went really well. And we're going to keep doing this. We'll add to it. We'll make it, maybe a bigger production next year. I don't know. We'll do something. Maybe we'll give you guys votes or something on the YouTube page or something like that as well next year. But it was a blast, Carter. A lot of fun memories to go over from this season, sort of in a year that you don't really want to remember, but there were bright spots and there were moments that you enjoyed and gave us those little things to look back on. I mean, you think the Joey Votto, the Daniel Vogelbacks, guys that just, I think in a couple of years will be shocking to even hear that they were Toronto Blue Jays. It's nice to take a look back.
Yeah, there's some funny names on this list. And just like going back throughout the Toronto Blue Jays days, there's always going to be players on every single team that you're like, oh, this guy played for the Toronto Blue Jays. That's kind of the fun that we had with this. After a lot of positives going on for today in the Locked On Blue Jays podcast, I only have two negatives. One is this helmet. This helmet kind of sucks, I'm not going to lie, but I'm doing it for the people, especially with headphones in. Oh, my God. It is definitely a pain in the butt. And the other negative is the Yankees. Got to talk about it, unfortunately. They move on. They're probably going to play. Well, they are going to play the Guardians of the Tigers. I said probably the Guardians going into the series. We got game 5. So it's going to be interesting. I think we're both on the same boat. I think probably everyone watching this podcast is on the same boat. We're the Tigers Guardians podcast now in the AL. That's just obviously where we're at. We're looking for the Central to take it home.
Yeah, man. I'm Tigers all the way. I'm really gung-ho for them, but I don't know. I think it makes it interesting to play the Yankees. It's going to be tough to beat them, dude. I'm a little bit worried, and I'm worried for what this does for our Monday episode coming out on, there's rumors about Juan Soto, and we're going to get into that fully on Monday. But does this Yankees win sort of deter what's happening with Juan Soto? We'll talk about all of that Monday, Carter.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun episode. Obviously, there's some reports that came out, things like that. But yeah, we'll get into it more. But just off the surface, I'll leave you guys with this. The New York Yankees are in the ALCS. The Toronto Blue Jays finished 5th in the AL East. There's one team that does look more appealing, at least off the surface. But we'll get way more into this on the Monday episode. Before we do it out, just want to say thank you guys for the support, all the likes, comments, everything. You guys are the reason that we have the ability to do this. You're the reason I have the ability to just talk about Toronto Blue Jays baseball with a batting helmet that's about 4 sizes too small on my head. So I appreciate that from you guys. You mean way more than to us than you guys actually realize. This is a blessing for us to talk about our favorite Blue Jays or favorite baseball team every single day with you guys. But Braden, you got anything else to add before kind of head into the weekend?
No, I hit the nail on the head there. The only extra thing I have is, like Carter said, we appreciate that when you guys hop on here, you make us your first listen every day. If it's, your podcast, you're in the car, you're doing whatever. And if you're ever needing a little bit more time and you don't know what to listen to, go check out Locked On MLB with host Paul Sullivan. He runs a great show over there as well. And I'm sure he'll be covering he is covering the playoffs very, very tightly. So it is going to be a ton of fun over there. So make sure you go check that out. As always, guys, really appreciate listening. And we'll talk to you on Monday with a very interesting episode coming up.